Is it recording now? It seemed to be lagging a little bit, so I'm glad it's recording now. So yeah, it's been a while, everybody. Sorry for my absence. It's been a rough couple of weeks for the Beltster. I'm never going to call myself that again. But my car blew up. My car died. The engine just went kaput. So I was having to buy a new car, and that's been taking up most of my time and energy and money. So I didn't buy anything at all last week except for food. And I got the car arranged. I don't actually have the car yet, but hopefully tomorrow it'll be ready. I've got to put a part onto it, so that's taken care of, and so that's all good now. We're all good as far as the car goes, so that's good. I probably shouldn't even bought what I bought today, but damn it, I've had a rough couple of weeks. I'm going to treat myself to a little bit of something, and it might be all the spending money I have this week because of this car thing I'm trying to get taken care of, but it's something I've been looking forward to for a while, and I happened to find it at Walmart while I was buying my groceries, and here it is, Masters of the WWE Universe, Mr.T, which, man, for a kid who grew up in the 80s, this is like the coolest, most 80s thing ever. For one thing, it's Mr. T. And Mr. T was every little boy's hero in the 1980s. This guy was cool as hell. You watched him in the A-Team, and you saw him as the villain in Rocky 3, which I think is my favorite of the Rocky movies. I don't know if it's the best one. I think the first Rocky is probably the best one. But yeah, so here you have an action figure that not only is it Mr. T, but it's Mr. T as a wrestler, because this is based on his in-ring attire from WrestleMania when he was at that, and it's also a He-Man action figure. So it's a Mr. T wrestling He-Man all combined together into one action figure, and this is an 80s kid's dream. So let's go ahead and open them up and have a look at them. All right, and he should have a little mini comic in there, the one-page mini comic that all the characters have. Unlike the unlike the Masters of the Universe Origins, which all seem to come with the same mini comic in the same wave, like each wave seems to have one mini comic. Masters of the WWE Universe has the decency to have a specific comic for each character. Unfortunately, like I mentioned, it's a one-page comic. And we're going to look at that in just a second. I forgot to look at the packaging before I opened them up. So let's take a look at the packaging. It's got like a really nice picture on the back of Mr. T forging his gauntlets that he comes with. That's going to be his weapons as he comes with gauntlets. You can see in the cross-cell art here. The other figures in this wave are Jake the Snake Roberts, The Fiend, Bray Wyatt, and Seth Rollins. Now, Jake the Snake, he looks like he's going to be a Snake Man. Like, of the Snake Man faction, he actually has a Snake Man logo on his chest, which makes sense, because he's Jake the Snake. The Fiend looks like he borrows the gimmick of Trapjaw with the interchangeable hands. I believe, you could swap out his hands. But yeah, he looks like a creepy dude. I think out of all these characters, he probably looks the most like he could be like a Masters character. All these guys look pretty Masters-like. And then Seth Rollins, who apparently is... Can somebody tell me if Seth Rollins is a heel or a babyface or a tweener? I'm not familiar with the newer wrestlers, but he's got Zodak armor. So I figure since he's got Zodak armor, he should be a filthy neutral. So... something in my eyebrow? Something in my eyebrow. Oh, piece of dirt or something. Anyway, whatever. It's gone now. Yeah, and Seth Rollins looks like he comes with Drago Man's flaming sword. So that's kind of cool. He'll have some cool accessories. And Mr. T uses... He uses Jitsu's armor, which I believe this is straight up from the classic Jitsu, which I have right here, so I can compare. We'll do comparison time when the time comes for that. we can compare Jitsu's armor to Mr. T's. It says, "Enough with the jibba jabba. Master of the Golden Weapons Forge, Mr. T pities all the fools who challenge him in head-to-mohawk combat. This is not a Native American mohawk. This is the haircut of an African warrior. Mr. T will tell you this straight up. You can look it up on YouTube, and I recommend you do. It's there's a lot of deep thought that Mr. T put into his look and why he looks the way that he does, and his haircut and his bling and all that kind of stuff. Look it up, Mr. T on the David Letterman show, and he goes into a lot of detail. Like he wears the gold chains because it's supposed to represent the slave chains that were forced onto his ancestors. So, like, when people would ask him why, if those heavy gold chains bother him, he's like, nobody asked my ancestors if their chains bothered them. But I got gold chains instead of iron chains, so I tell you, Mr. T is a really cool dude. He's one of my heroes, like, straight up. It's like, I thought he was cool when I was a kid, but, like, the more I learn about him, the cooler I think he is. Alright, so like I said, his outfit is based on his in-ring attire from WrestleMania. Obviously, he's got the Jitsu armor instead of any kind of shirt or anything like that. Let's go ahead and compare them now, since I think it's the same exact mold. It looks like it might be the same exact mold as the Classics one. I could be mistaken, but check it out. Jitsu has a couple of kana that fit into a couple of holsters on the back. Mr. T has those same holsters, even though Mr. T does not come with the kana. And it should unfasten at the back, just like Jitsu's does. I'm going to have to remove his head to get the armor off. And you can see he has the generic muscle chest that most of the He-Man characters have. Pop that back on. And, you know, you can... This right here is pretty much what he wore in the ring. I think he had, you know, different wristbands, obviously, than the He-Man wristbands. But for the most part, if you take the He-Man stuff off of him, you're left with a pretty accurate version of what he wore at WrestleMania. So let's put it back onto him, because I want to put the gauntlets onto his hands, and that way we can see the whole look all together. He has one solid fist hand, closed solid fist, and he has one gripping hand so he can hold a weapon. This is the same as Triple H, I believe. Roman Reigns also has that, but Roman Reigns is his right hand that's in the fist. So let's put his head back on. God, I'm so happy I have this. This might be the only thing that I buy this week, but it will have been worth it. I'm glad if I only got one thing, it was this. Where'd I put the... Oh yeah, it fell on the floor. Oh! Sorry, I bumped the cable, and that bumped the laptop. Okay, so let's get this open. It's taped pretty loosely, but it is taped, so I'm going to go ahead and cut it with the X-Acto knife. Just seems like it'll be easier that way. And he's got a Jitsu hand and a Fisto fist, which the Fisto fist, in this case, is colored in gold plastic. Roman Reigns had one just like this, but it was in black plastic. And if one were so inclined, this would be a really good hand to make the Infinity Gauntlet with. That one, I think Thanos wears it on his left hand, doesn't he? Yeah, Thanos wears it on his left hand. It does not have, though, it's not the same sculpt as the Classics one, but it is very similar. So it's obviously based on the Classics one, but it's quite different. It doesn't have the individual knuckles on the fingers. Well, no, it does. They're just a little more faint. It doesn't have the little... See where the green knuckles are on the hand? It doesn't have those at all. It has one little stud right there and one big stud here. And I think there's another little one here, but because of the marbling and the plastic, I can't quite make it out. And then the dot pattern on the gauntlet is not identical either. See, it's got like 2 across the top and 2 going down underneath that. And this one has 3 across the top and then 1. So it's not identical, And obviously, it's on the other hand, too. So if you did want to make a custom Jitsu, you could do it, but his glove's going to be on the wrong hand, or his hand is going to be on the wrong arm, or, I don't know. I don't know if it's supposed to be a prosthetic, or if it's supposed to be just like a big glove that he's wearing. I don't think they ever established that with Jitsu. I'm pretty sure with Fisto it's supposed to be a prosthetic. But let's go ahead and put the